Hello there, commanders, and welcome to another episode of Gladiator faction preview. This time around we are previewing Spartacus, the legendary commander that has been teased all the way back on Steam, and he's finally here. Can you do a zoom in on him? No. Neither he or his units are here. And you are wondering why the hell I thought Persia would be the faction that would be released sooner. So we're going to go on a flanking mission over here, maybe before George just frontally captures our base. Let's try to be sneaky, and while we are sneaky, I'm going to preview his abilities. Although we already got a glimpse into them, I guess, on the developer blog they have published. So the first skill is Charge, Blaze of Glory. Very nicely named. Let's align this charge and read about it. Also maybe align another one. We're also playing premium focuses, although as you can see they do not have 100 soldiers in them. They have only 50, which is something very common in the Gladiator tech tree, but we are going to get on that later. So that charge is 4 seconds long and 40 seconds cooldown. Obviously will be better with upgrades. 50% movement speed, it's very fast charge, 25% acceleration. It also gives you charge impact, which helps you win charges against other people. Can I hide maybe over here? Probably not. We could just engage. It also gives you impact damage, so just deal more damage. 10 morale, which also helps from being routed. Hello? Oh, I clicked on a cliff. Unlucky. Show your courage! And you become silenced, which is classic. Cannot use when holding pikes, attacking melee, and phalanx currently active. Well, maybe they are going to get pikes. But I haven't seen them. Maybe just proofing it for the future. Okay, so that's it. Let's look at the second ability. The second ability is Champion. Buff area effect. Boost aggression of this unit and defense and morale of nearby allies. Targets on self, active survive. Actually, I haven't read the description of this one. Search for a powerful charge. Okay, it's not very lengthy, so there we go. Cooldown 60 seconds, duration 20 seconds, so you can have it all up all times if you rotate it. But it has two separate effects. Just on self, plus 40% melee attack. So if you want that 40% melee attack on all units, then you have to use all 3 units' abilities at the same time. And then on allies inspired, gives your allies, but not you, 21% melee defense and 15 morale. So if you want to benefit from both of them, you need to use that at least 2 units. And then these 2 units will benefit from both, and the third one only from the side buff. We get abilities like that already in the game. I don't remember exactly which ones those were. I don't want to try to recall it in the middle of a video. So I'm just going to ignore it for the time being, but as you can see, these Volksmen, despite being only 50, they did pretty well against tier 6 legionaries on Sula. So there's that. They even advanced 2 ranks, which is really nice. And they deal quite a lot of damage. So that is OP? I don't know, that's just a premium unit. Well, pay to win, definitely, yes. So there's that. That's our healing got interrupted, which is not nice. And those units actually sound like straight taken out from Rome 1, which I guess hearing the music from Rome 1 also helps with that association. So yeah, I'm not a fan of abilities like that. So does it behave like an aura or just a regular buff? It doesn't say it's an aura, so I would assume it doesn't. but let's
An
try.
enemy player has been eliminated.
So yeah, these both units have the champion. If I get closer with this one... Oh, it does get it, so it is an aura. Doesn't say it's an aura. Okay. So, for example, the difference is auras are on Caesar, as you can just use an ability, and then whoever enters your aura gets the benefits or the merits of the ability. And then there are just on activation buffs or debuffs that targets need to be in range upon its activation to trigger the effects.
Capture point has become available.
So let's utilize our abilities to flank the enemy, and let's read the third. Oh, now suddenly it is surprising. Let's read the third ability, which is Uprising. Very similar to Rebellion in both the name and the icon. I think it's just recalled Rebellion, really.
Show your courage!
So let's see. Inspire your allies, increasing the mobility, aggression, defense, and morale of all friendly units in the targeted area for an extended period. Targets. On ground target. So I aim this? I do, yeah. Okay. Well, let's start using it.
We fight as one!
80 seconds duration. 210 seconds cooldown, so it can be active at all times and can overlap, but you can also target on a pretty wide area. So let's say you have one big fight over here, I can right now cover pretty much all of it, but if my allies are fighting over here, I could also buff them. I can over here, but it needs to be like the center needs to be banned. I can activate it here, which I will just for the sake of it. Okay, and it gives us 11% movement speed, which is nice, but I would assume you are not really going to use it for movement speed. Then again, it lasts 80 seconds, so the situation can just change in 80 seconds. Then you have 21% melee defense, 21% melee attack, and 20 morale. And morale also boosts your melee stats if it's above the target. If it's below, above your base morale. There we go. Okay, I guess I need to start playing a little bit more, because otherwise I will lose, as my team lost the other flank and it's also now sort of losing in base. I shouldn't continue for much longer.
Point has become available.
So maybe he'll just overpower the enemy over here. And you'll see what I mean after the units cover. So yeah, let's go back to the champion ability. So if I want the full boost of attack power on all units, I need to use it on all 3 units at the same time. But then I'm losing out on the AoE that's buffing all my allies over here. So yeah, it's a trade-off. And it can never be optimized. You always have to sacrifice one or the other. Unless you're in a very specific situation where you can actually optimize it by just going for certain choices. It's actually recalled back to the base, and let's go to A, and I will be able to talk about it. God damn it, them arches. Okay, never mind them. We also have 2 charges, which is nice. You can use both Frenzied and charge of Spartacus. So Frenzied charge normally is reserved for barbarian units. They don't have a single commander with a charge ability. But it's also obviously present on some premium units, I think in Carthage. Rome, not at the moment, but the ones that are available in game. You can see those charges are quite powerful, but then again those are focuses, so obviously they are. That's kind of their thing. And then I get to level up pretty nicely as well. So yeah, triple can't really be optimized, but depending on what you need, either melee attack, then you activate all 3 at the same time, and you give up the melee defense and morale. But if you
Half of
would
the enemy
prefer
team
melee
has
defense
been
and morale,
eliminated.
then you can scatter it and have it up at all times. And maybe on future levels, the cooldown will go down, the duration can go up. You can also be next to Liu Bei with Virtue's Presence, and that will lower the cooldown, so you can get away with overlapping these abilities a little bit more. So yeah, there's plenty of factors that can go into it. Our team should retake A. Oh, there are dogs that want to say otherwise. So let's now go into the overall review of Spartacus. The charge is pretty good. I mean, it's a charge. Charges are always useful.
Capture point is
I just really
contested.
like charge abilities because they can be used just to move faster around the battlefield when you know you're not going to face anybody in the nearest time. And they also deal damage. They're pretty good engagement starters. You can block and react quickly to enemy
The enemy
movements.
has lost a capture point.
If, for example, there is enemy cavalry coming in on your archers and you want to block it before it gets there, charges are perfect for it. And then these other two abilities are AoE buffs. So actually, let's see. Is it on activation or is it also on aura? Because it again says area of effect. So I'm just going to cast ahead of myself here.
We
And once I enter this area, do I
Capture
get this
point
buff?
is contested.
I think I'm already in. Now I'm definitely in. And there's no buff. So this time it is on activation. So we really need to work on descriptions over here. So this should say it's an aura, it's just like Caesar's abilities. Come on guys, take A. So, as presented earlier, let's split up so I can show this to you.
An allied capture point is under attack.
It all works on all of them, and now if I leave, yeah, it
We are
disappears.
halfway towards victory.
And I go back, and it's up again. Obviously now the
An allied
duration
capture point has been lost.
isn't showing accurately. So this appears as this disappears as that was the casting unit.
We have secured a capture
There we go.
point.
That's essentially how auras work, and if it was a regular buff, then it would just be on all the units that are within the range upon its activation, and then upon leaving the area of the buff, it will just stick on. So it's an area, aura, not an area of effect buff. So they need to fix that
An allied player has
naming,
been eliminated.
or just make it more consistent across the board, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty consistent with all the other buffs, so... But oh, I haven't really done testing of all of them, so I may be wrong. Maybe it is inconsistent. I probably should test that sooner or later. And then
An allied
Uprising,
capture point is under attack.
yeah, the area is just 20
Our main
meters,
base is
targeting
being
range is 50.
attacked.
But, well, it doesn't have to be in center of the unit, so even if you just barely touch it,
We fight as one.
never mind, I did barely touch it. So let's see, I'll do one more use. So now it covers like this middle of the unit. It needs to cover the middle of the unit. Let's try covering like 1/3, but not the center itself.
We will never be slaves again.
A new
And
capture
yeah, it
point
didn't
has become
reactivate
available.
on this unit. It has the old buff, so it the center of the unit needs to be within
An allied
the
capture
area.
point has
So we
been
need to be
lost.
careful when using that, as there are certain abilities, and then again, it's inconsistency. Certain abilities will work as long as just one soldier is within the range of the buff, and some abilities need to reach the center of the unit. So I really wish CA would also fix that
Our
inconsistency.
capture point is contested.
Yeah,
A
let's
new
try
capture point
capturing
has
the
become
base.
available.
Or maybe attacking C from behind. I guess I'll stick to the base. Maybe I'll just get
Our unit is under
a free
attack.
victory like that.
Boxes.
And the buffs here, pretty nice. 21% melee defense, 21% melee attack. movement speed and morale. It's essentially sort of like, well, rebellion. Yeah, the name is pretty much the same. Rebellion, Uprising, pretty much the same thing. And the icon also pretty much the same. So overall, how would I use Spartacus? Well, you also need to think about what units he has, but fighting in a larger group, supporting his allies rather than going for flanks, so he'd be more of a frontliner, or maybe he can go for a flank, then attack the enemy from the flank, and once he is flanking the enemy and fights in the same general blob. So for example, if I were to go forward over here, I would flank these units, but I would still be in range to apply my champion buff. It's also 30 meters, so it's pretty big. Also, yeah, speaking of which, can I be at the edge of this one? Yeah, now we're barely touching, to just get slightly closer. Yeah, so the center of the unit. Now the center of the unit is definitely good now, it's just... There we go. Okay. Yes, he gets... He gets slightly outside. Yeah, it just barely touches the unit. And it still gets the buff. So here, the center of the unit doesn't need to be within the range. Just as long as a single soldier is within the range of the ability, that unit gets the buff. But for the other one, the center needs to be there. It's even inconsistent within one commander's skill set. But anyway, it's the end of the battle. The verdict on Spartacus, I think he's a good commander. I wouldn't say he's overpowered. His abilities don't scream like, holy shit, that's broken. But it also doesn't scream, wow, he's weak, like Xerxes from Persia. So yeah, it's a good balanced commander. Neither weak, neither too strong. He's just strong, solid, balanced. And I like it. Has his purpose, he can go flying, he can go buffing his allies. Doesn't have really anything too unique about him. Just general melee attack and melee defense and morale buffer. I guess 2 separate morale buffs is pretty good. So yeah, it can be counter to stuff like, well, soft counter, to stuff like Scipio and Guan Yu and other commanders and units that lower your morale. And I guess good blob fighter, which is not good, but yeah, his ability could pretty much cover the entire capture zone, I think. Well, we'll get to see him once again, at least 2 times, I think, playing different unit types that gladiators have available to them. So we'll get to see more of that in those videos. In those videos I'll see you, as well as on Arena's Battlefields commanders. Also, something help us bring to the warrior back to the west, links in the description. There we go. And maybe on screen. Maybe.